Welcome to another episode of Around the Way podcast, where we help you get around your obstacles and find a way to redesign your life. We are here with my guy, my brother, man, Joshua Powers. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm well.
Yo, I love the name, by the way. It's Joshua spelled with an E. Let's talk about it for a second. Before we get into everything, let's talk about it.
So Joshua is a Hebrew origin name. So Jeshua or Yeshua, just basically is Jesus in Hebrew. So that's what my name stands for, Jesus. So if I was Mexican, it would be
Jesus.
Jesus. So it's pretty neat. So the whole thing about that is I'm just trying to stay true to who I am as an individual, as a person. And I do believe that we are in the Joshua generation. So, and that's just something.
What does that mean, Joshua generation?
So the Joshua generation. So basically, just to give you guys a little breakdown, and get a little biblical here. When Moses died, Joshua was called to be his successor. And, God came to him and said, hey, as I was with Moses, I will be with you. So Joshua had to lead the people into the promised land.
You speaking spicy, bro, already.
Yeah,
already.
So that's really, my name is Joshua for a reason. And I feel like I need to lead my people into the promised land. And, as a segue, what is land? That's real estate. So I feel like everything in my life is just coming full circle, as in just becoming who I'm supposed to be, but just staying true to myself. So
who are you, right? Because I know we've had a lot of conversations behind the scenes, but you talk about land, you talk about real estate, you talk about successor, you talk about just being authentic to who you are. Who are you?
I'm becoming. So the reason why I say that is life is a journey of who you are to become. So right now, I'm becoming my future self.
That's a bar, bro.
It is. So right now, I'm just becoming my future self. So I really can't put a word on it because it's going to change every day according to the people that I impact. Because I may be I'm a brother to you, but one day I'm gonna be a father. And then another day I'll be a teacher, and then another day I will be an angel investor. So I play so many roles within my life. So I'm steady becoming. So as long as I'm learning, I'm becoming, then that's how my life will unfold.
That is a powerful way to start, right? Because I think so many times we get boxed in. It's like everybody has an introduction. I'm an investor. I'm a philanthropist. I am this. But it's just like, no. You don't have to be boxed in that season, right? Because who you are today may be completely different tomorrow, right? Sure. Who you are today, you may be a business owner today. And what if all of the banks shut down tomorrow? What if online just stopped tomorrow? Or what if your child, God forbid, got sick tomorrow and you had to only be a parent and that's all you could be? Or what if you were called to go in another direction and you could only be that person? Would you be willing to be that person? Are you becoming enough to be aware enough of who you need to be in this season, who God needs you to be in this season, right? So before we continue, I do want people to really understand, what are 3 things in your life that you are most proud of?
That's tough because growing up, I always felt undervalued, underappreciated. I felt worthless. So that kind of stemmed to who I am today by being an overachiever. So when you say we tend to box ourselves in a title, that's why I don't really want to say what I am in titles, because I am a real estate investor. I am a real estate agent, but I'm so many things. But 3 things I would say that I'm proud of today is number 1 is that I'm growing. And that's in every area of my life. I'm growing as a person. I'm growing financially. I'm just growing in knowledge, which is a big thing to me. Number 2 is I'm in a place now where I'm making my parents proud. Because my mom, she does so much for me and my other brothers and sisters growing up, where I'm like, this is Superwoman. So it would be less of me not to be a Superman. So I'm like, what, I gotta continue to make her proud, and my dad as well. And number 3, I would say that I'm actually sitting at this podcast with you. I'm proud of the reason I say that's because it's just the impact that someone's going to listen to this podcast and it's going to change their lives, like how you change minds and other people that we've encountered. So to be able to be effective, impactful, and to change lives, that's something to be proud of. And you can do that every day.
Exactly.
Every day.
I think so many people think that you got to have so much money, right? You have to be successful before you can impact like an individual. No, you don't. Right? You could literally walk in a mall today and see somebody that is not smiling, and communicate something to them that makes them smile. And just by seeing them and them feeling seen, them feeling valued, you taking the time out of your day, because you don't know what people are experiencing internally.
Never.
You don't. And I think so many times we don't take time to understand people enough and be empathetic enough and understand other people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about stories, you have a story.
Mm-hmm.
You have a story.
Yes,
we were talking about it on the way home last night. What is one story in your life that could best represent who you've become today?
I would say this. So I had this one situation where, I was going to college, like after I graduated high school, which no one thought I would, being from the troubled background that I came from. Nobody thought I'd graduate, high school. But to be the first person to go to college in my family was a big thing. And I'm going to be the first of many things to come as well. So one day I was, I said, all right, I'm going to go to college. I contemplated it because I didn't get a full scholarship. So I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do this whole school thing.
Yeah.
I didn't make it. And, I began to self-doubt. But one day I walked into a university. I was taking classes. I was motivated. I was like, you know what? I'm going to come here. I'm going to just do something. And bills came due. I had a car and my mom co-signed it. It was my first car. And next thing you know, I didn't have a job, far as I wasn't getting paid enough. I had a job, but it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't paying what it was supposed to do. But I was paying my way through college. So that's where all my money was going,
Exactly.
Paying my way through college. And one day, I just got like down on myself. I'm like, I'm just not becoming who I want to be, So, but long story short, I got a job at the university. Someone really helped me out, which my father, he actually, looked out for me and got me a job at the university. So from there, it was like one of the lowest points in my life. I was a janitor. I started out as a janitor, and I thought I was going to be this awesome football star or whatever. But so I made a decision. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just keep my head down and I'm going to work. So I worked my way through. I mastered every blueprint, every...
So were you still in college at this time?
I was.
Okay.
So I was still in college.
So you first generation college student, first one out of your community, out of your family to go to college. You went to college, then you recognized that bills were due. So then you connected with your dad, you got to this job, but this job was a janitor position. Got it. Okay.
So to give you the numbers, it was $21,900
a year
is what my salary was.
A year.
Oh
my God.
So just imagine, it didn't really do much. So in order to make money to even break $1,000, I had to work about 110 hours a week. So I didn't really have much of a life. That was my life. And of course, me and him got closer. During the time of me being there. So
you and your dad?
Yeah, me and my dad. Just a quick backstory on that. Like my biological father disowned me as a child. Like I grew up with that resentment, that anger, that hatred, which really shaped me young to say, hey, you're not enough. So that's why I became an overachiever, because I felt like I was never enough or never doing enough.
So did your biological father get you this job?
Nah. So
your father,
yeah,
the man. Okay.
So the man, that's my father now.
Wow.
His name is Terry Powers. And so what happened was when I had actually corrected the name on my birth certificate, I changed my last name to Powers to further his legacy. And the reason why I did that, because I never met a man in my life that impacted me the way he did, to teach me to become a man, to be a better father, to actually believe in myself, to say, hey, man, look, smile, you're handsome, you're smart, I'm proud of you, you're intelligent. Things that I never heard from a man, like, as far as a father figure, I never got that. So from him empowering me that way, I said, you know what, you've been a father to me more than anybody. So I'm going to make sure when you're gone, your legacy still lives on. So I took that last name and ran with it. So, and that's today. I'm Joshua Powers, because I'm a loyalist, and it's all about that connection. So,
for sure.
So that's kind of how.
That's powerful.
So he got me the job.
So he got you this job. You're working this job, and then what happened from there?
So from there, I was his understudy basically.
Okay.
So since he was there, he got promoted 3 times, which is ironic because I got promoted a couple times as well, from just watching him work hard. And I'm like, you know what, that's somebody I can model after, and I was like, I'm not going to let him outwork me. But it was just a competition between me and him. Who's going to work the hardest? He's like, no, you need to learn this, you need to learn that, you need to do this. So at the end of my tier, let's say I was there for like 18 months before I got promoted. So I learned every blueprint of every building on campus. I mastered every machine. So I became a floor specialist and a building specialist. And then from there, I got promoted to be over the Department of the Quality Insurance. So that kind of gave me my segue from being a janitor to a supervisor over a whole entire department.
And all of this while you're still in school.
Still in school. So when I was going to school, because I had to work at night, and I had classes in the morning. So I would go to work at night from 10 o'clock to 7 a.m. And I scheduled my first class at 8 because I'm already on campus. So I'm like, I just
hold on.
be here.
Whoa. Yeah. Wait a minute. We're not just going to go over that. So you went to class all day.
All day.
And you worked from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And your first class was at 8 a.m.?
8 a.m. So I worked at the building where the same building I took classes in was the same building I was cleaning. So they had locker rooms and showers and stuff like that. So I would bring my clothes, and sometimes if I didn't have my clothes, I would just, go in my work uniform because it was the same color as the school anyway, so I'd be in my work uniform. But most of the time I was able to change clothes, but I would go to class in the morning and then I'll go to work at night. But after doing that for a couple months, I'm like, man, I still was unfulfilled. Like, wow. I'm like, man, this is not enough. So I stopped going to school. As far as at the university, and that's when I went to culinary school and became a chef. So
why the transition?
Because to me, I was like, follow your passion. What do you like to do? So I'm like, why would I go to a university for 4 years and become I don't know what, in sports exercise science, become what? A personal trainer? I say, well, here's a shortcut. Become a personal trainer. So I became a personal trainer. I got certified. And then from there, I was like, well, what else do you do? Well, I love nutrition. I'm an artist, so I love to express myself. When I'm not, in real estate, doing deals and helping other investors, I like to cook, So I'm like, well, I like to cook. I love nutrition. I love to train people. So it all comes full circle. I was like, well, it's under the same umbrella. So I went to school, became a chef, and that was just it. So the schedule still was the same, though. So
hold on, pause, because you're dropping a whole bunch of bars. And I think that I hope people that are listening right now recognize the level of sacrifice, intentionality, and work ethic that he was putting in early. So at this time, you were what, like probably 18, 19 years old?
At this time, I was 21, between 21 and 23.
But when you went into school?
Yeah.
So for 18 months, you worked essentially over 100 hours a week while still being in class. Then you recognize that it was just unfulfilling to go to class because you wanted to get a degree in exercise science to be a personal trainer. And instead of just getting this degree and delaying your 4 years, you're like, what do I like to do? You were very introspective. What do I like to do? What are my passions? I like cooking. So you understood the nutrition side of cooking. I like training people. I love the aspect of sports and athletics because you were a football player. So I'm just going to do that. Instead of having to go through all of this, I'm just going to learn it in real time. While you were still working this full-time job.
Yes. So some days I didn't sleep. And I know one of the things that we do in life is we make sacrifices, whether it's time with family. To me, it was more so my health, and being a nutritionist as a personal trainer is like, dude, it's like, what are you doing? But to me, what drove me was my ambition, the motivation to become. I didn't know who I was at the time. I just know that I was trying to get somewhere in life. I didn't want to be a statistic, I was like, I got to do something. I got to stay busy. So I stayed busy with many things. I was always keeping my mind, I work better under pressure. And because I'm an introvert, I'm not very vocal unless the light is on and I have to talk money and real estate. I'm always thinking of what's next. So I'm always trying to advance myself in something. So for me, I'm a student of the game. I just love knowledge. I love to learn. But I hated school, which was so weird. I hated college. I was only there for my mother, to make her proud, to be the first, to set an example, to show people like, hey, I'm a young black man. I can go to college. There's other ways out of this. Like, you don't have to, just be in a cycle. So me, my whole quest, my whole plight was I have to break generational curses. I had to break cycles. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure, but I work better under pressure. So what I did was put myself under a lot of things because I said, if I could come out of this, if I can make it through this, I'm unstoppable. And I am.
So talk to me a little bit about how you got from this to real estate. What was that transition? What did that transition look like?
Okay, so I always loved real estate. So when I became the department head over quality assurance, I got into real estate at that point because I had to do an inspection on the commercial side. So I was over every building in campus. Like there's about 51 buildings in total. I had to go in and do inspections. I had to build a data report, and then I had to send that out every 90 days.
What does an inspection look like?
So when you walk into a building, sometimes you have a software or tool. I had an iPad at the time, and there's about 30 pages. And each page is going to check the functionality of the building, the lights, the flooring, the walls, the doors, the knobs, the cleanliness, and it's just everything from the inside out. What does the outside look like? Does it need to be pressure washed? The windows need to be repoured. So I had to work with other vendors to get things clean to keep up the appeal of the university, so because one thing, if you live in a house, right, and you're away from it for 6 months, if you're not running the water, if you're not flushing the toilet, the house is deteriorating, because it's not in use. So I had to make sure that the university was functioning, was moving properly, doing things that, making repairs and getting things done so the students can have a safe and clean environment to work in, and the same thing for the faculty and staff. So, and I pretty much did that for a while. As far as commercials, I was working with commercial buildings with their blueprints and everything of that sort. And then I was offered a job to work for the county as a code enforcement officer. So I became a licensed inspector. I took it. And the reason why, because this number 11 was so crazy to me. So I was offered a job making $11,000 more on my salary. So I'm like, I'm doing the same thing here. Why wouldn't I take that job? So I did that. So I became a licensed inspector, and then I got into the residential side. So I had commercial, I had residential, and I was walking into a house doing an inspection, and the superintendent had a list. These things have to be done before I come to this house. Like, I don't want to make your job hard. Like, I want to pass you to the next stage. But it was like, I found like 15 things. I'm a fella if I find 5. But I found 15 things, and at this point, I'm doing like 23 inspections a day, 23 inspections a day, sometimes 31. It depends on the area, and then you got accounting for drive time. So I walked into the house, doing an inspection. I found like 15 things. I'm like, look, man, if I got to do your job, I might as well do your job. So a light bulb went off. So I'm inspecting the house. I know how to build it through the inspection. So why not just become a builder? So I met a lot of construction managers. Hold on,
stop, because that was a whole bar as well. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing your job, I might as well just do your job. Why is that important for people to understand? Because I think there's a lot of people out here that are doing like 18 jobs, or doing their manager's job, or doing their boss's job, or doing all of these other jobs, and they don't even realize their potential. Where did you learn that mindset?
It's weird. I think I've always had it. To me, there is no competition. Like, to me, although I may be a different color than you, I may be a different shape, size, whatever, but, in football, they taught us that this person puts on their pants the same way you do. They have to tie their shoes just like you. There's nothing that you can't do. Like, I always felt that. There's nothing I can't do. So if I'm already doing your job, then I might as well do your job. Like, you're no different than me. Actually, I think I can do your job better than you. So I became a builder, and I started at number 28 in my company, and I quickly got to number 1.
What did you do? What did that process look like? So, anybody that's listening right now, I want you to walk them through the process because essentially this is a story of resiliency, not giving up, sacrifice. It's the importance of understanding who you really are at the core and not accepting mediocrity and searching and continuing to find excellence in everything that you do. Walk someone through that process of how do they advance themselves? How did you get to creating this impact that you've created?
So with that, the main thing I want to get across to people is think bigger. You're bigger than what you are. You can do more than you think you can. The mind is a powerful thing. And they said the mind is a powerful thing to waste, so don't waste it. But the whole key behind that is the body follows whatever the head sets up. So if you have the mind, it's all about mindset. I had a mindset that I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not going to leave no stone unturned. I'm going to become this person that I'm trying to become, even if I don't know who he is. But I'm going to become something. I'm not going to be nothing. So the whole thing is just think bigger than who you are. And if it's big or too big and it scares you, then you're on the right track. You have to do it afraid. So do it afraid. So I was scared for a lot of things, because at the company, I was the only Black person there. It's at this particular company, it's like, Black people don't work for this company. But I'm like, you must not know who I am. You don't know the God that I serve. You know, so it doesn't matter. I'm going to try. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. So here's the thing. I was walking the house doing an inspection. And she was like, I put in an application, become the builder. You know, that same day, I was like, dude, I might as well just do your job. So I was working. I looked on the computer. You know, I took my lunch break, of course, but I wasn't no time to eat. It was time to hunt. You know, so I'm looking online.
It's no time to eat. It's time to hunt.
Time to hunt. So I don't care about no lunch break because I got a bigger purpose. So I go online. I find the application. I find a job. It had a posting the same day. The same day, I'm like, I'm about to put in applications. I put in an application or whatever. And the guy that I met in the field a couple weeks prior was the guy who did my interview. So I put in an application, go on the interview. I'm at work. The interview was at like 12. So I'm like, can we move it to 11? So we moved the interview to 11. I go, take my break, change my clothes, go to the interview, do the interview, get back in my work car, get back in the car, and then get back to work.
That's
get back
ruthless,
to work.
bro.
So I got it. Yeah, man. So I was like, look, I'm going to change clothes. I'm going to do this and do that. You know, I think I dropped my car off, the work car off, and got my other car, something like that. Something, I can't remember. But either way, I found a way to get there. So I got there, went on an interview, got back. Had like 8 more inspections to do. So I was in the house and I got a phone call. She's like, Joshua, we want to, I thought they were going to get back to me in like 3 days. Like, Joshua, we want to offer you the job. Let's say, do you want to offer a job? When can you work? I said, I could work, give me 2 weeks. I want to put in my 2-week notice. You know, I like to do things professional. You don't want to burn your bridges. I like, just give me 2 weeks. I put in my 2-week notice and I'll come to work. So I put in my 2-week notice. But the thing about it, when I said earlier, that number 11 was crazy. So when I left the state and went to the county, I was offered $11,000 more. And when I went from the county to the building company, I was offered $11,000 more. So within 24 months, I tripled my salary, which was crazy, but it wasn't enough, you know? So I found myself on the wrong side of transaction again. So, this is how I got into the real estate investing and becoming an agent. So after I took the job, of course, I climbed the rankings. I had the fastest cycle time. I had the highest customer service rating, and I put up a lot of houses. So due to the fact that I was a licensed inspector, I kind of knew what I was doing. But I put my head down. I work. I'm like, you know what? I don't like being number 28. I got to get the number 1. So I got the number 1, and this was within my first year working for the company. I got the number 1.
Why was number 1 important? Because I think somebody listening right now is like, this guy's ambitious. This guy's hungry. This guy comes from scarcity, but he's been able to develop and create and mold a mind of abundance. Why is being number 1 important? Not just for you, but for anybody listening.
Because you have to have the mindset that I want to be the best.
How do you develop that mindset?
You have to want more for yourself, but you have to lead by example. Like, being the best is not about saying you're the best. It's about actually doing, you know, putting the work in. But the whole point I'm trying to make is, if you put the work into it, you put the work ethic into it, it's going to happen. It's going to come to you. You know, just be true to who you are. When you get that position, when you get that power, when you get more money, don't let it change you.
What about that person that's been working at something for years and still feels like they are kind of like at a plateau? It feels like there's a wall in front of them that won't allow them to get to the next step.
Reroute. So the reason why I kept advancing, because I feel like I hit my cap. You know.
How did you know that you were hitting your cap?
Because it came too easy. If I can do this in my sleep, it's too easy. It shouldn't be this easy. And because I'm an overachiever, I love hard work. Not necessarily physically, but something that's going to keep my mind going and keep my mind racing, keep me on edge, keep me at a place where I'm under pressure and overwhelmed, you know? So I was like, you know what? I reached my cap here. So once I reached my cap of being a janitor, I went for promotion, got promotion. Then I reached my cap at, you know, being in the commercial side of real estate. I was like, well, I need to get to the other side, because real estate is so many different avenues within real estate. So once I reached my cap on being an inspector, I became a builder. And when I reached my cap of being a builder, what's next? So I'm always thinking about what's next. I'm thinking ahead. Like, what is next for me? Like, if opportunity presents itself, I got to take it. So the reason why I became a real estate agent is because I was on the wrong side of the transaction. I'm building these houses. I'm building these communities. I'm doing all this hard work. And my bonus for this house is only $600. But the person that's showing it is getting the 4%, 5%, 6%. And it's 10 times what I'm doing. But I'm doing all the work. So you work smarter, not harder.
But this took a level of education as well. Because I think there's a lot of people in industries that only know how to do their job, but they're not aware enough of all of the other systems and operations and procedures of the totality of the organization, right? It's kind of like I'm really good in sales, but I'm not understanding marketing. I'm not understanding operations. I'm not understanding HR and how everything essentially comes together.
It does.
Right? And then being able to follow where the not just the money is, but the opportunity for advancement is.
For sure.
Because there's a cap in every department. So then it's time to transition into another if you want to get into leadership. And it's the same thing in life. There's a cap in every industry. There's caps in everything, right? Even in entrepreneurship, you're only going to be able to do so much with one product line. You're going to have to change it in a season. You're going to have to change something eventually. So talk to us about the importance of when you recognize that you've capped out or tapped out, what do you do next?
So what I do is I educate myself. So cross-training is a big thing. Like you can cross-train yourself as doing it physically or learning. So I love knowledge, but they say knowledge is power. Well, that's true, but the application of knowledge is power. Is what you do with that knowledge. You could be the smartest dummy if you want. Like you could be this person that knows everything but does nothing with it. So when I reach my cap, I'm like, well, what is this person doing? They became an agent. Well, how do you become a licensed agent? You go to school for it. Well, how much does it cost to go to school? Oh, I only got to pay a couple $100 to take a class. Well, that's what I'm going to do. So what I did was, because I'm a student of the game, I want to learn the ins and the outs of every industry if it interests me. So I'm going to learn everything I can about it, get in it, learn the language, and then dominate. So that's what I did. When I became an inspector, I dominated. When I became a builder, I dominated. When I got into real estate, I dominated. So, but I noticed I was on the wrong side of the transaction. So I was like, you know what? If I can 10x my potential earnings, I'm going to do that. And then once I'm done being a real estate agent, I was like, well, what's next? Be an investor. So I got into investing. It's like, so after that, it's like after investing, what's next from there? But it all comes back down to just being that entrepreneur that I always was as a little kid. So I'm just becoming. So I'm everything that I can be. I'm everything that I want to be.
When were you first exposed to entrepreneurship?
I would say when I was around between 8 and 12. Where we had to sell candy at school.
Talk about it.
Okay, so I wasn't the best kid growing up. So this is when the self-checkout. I hope I don't get criminated for this one. But
oh God!
This is a little story. This was self-checkout at Walmart, and we had to make it happen, man. So what we would do, we'll set up periods in school. Like you're gonna take lunch. You're going to take recess. You're going to take between first and second block. Whatever. Everybody had their own period. And
so were you supplying the candy? So you essentially were supplying the candy to your employees. And then you broke up their work shifts during the day of
and then they report back to me and I get the money.
And once you got the money, you kind of gave people percentages.
Yeah. So I'm like, look, I'm going to give you whatever you make off of it, that's fine. But I need my $30. Okay? I need my $30 from you, and you, because I know how much I needed to be able to get another box or 2 or 3 boxes. We'll get.
And this is like 8 to 12?
This is like between 8 and 12. Like we was getting.
So candy. You were running numbers like this. Wow.
Like I had to, because I was poor. I grew up with nothing, so we had to make it happen. And when you're poor and you grew up in poverty, I got tired of being picked on, man. Like I got tired of drawing on my clothes to make them look different. It's the same jeans. I just drew something different on it.
This is good.
And just changed the shirts, But I'm like, what? I got to survive. So at a young age, growing up in poverty and being poor, I was taught to survive. And you had to do it by any means necessary. So that's what developed my work ethic, to work hard. And then later on in life, I got to a point where you don't have to work hard. You just work smarter. For the last, when I got to the university, and then when I had met you a while back, I was like, man, bro, I've been working backwards the whole time. For the last few years, I've been working backwards, putting in all this hard work, working all these hours, doing this and that, where all I had to do was reroute. Think.
And now you've rerouted.
I rerouted because I'm gonna reroute again.
So what does your route look like right now? How can people engage and work with you?
So right now, I'm a real estate investor and real estate agent. And what I do is I help other investors and agents, attract more clients and eliminate the risk of losing money, which, I educate them through the building process of a home, which will give them a variety of tools to close more deals. And then on top of that, generate the level of income that they want. I have all the knowledge of being a real estate agent and being an investor and being a former licensed inspector. Like all this, it was my edge. It's what separated me from my counterpart. It's what helped me dominate. So if I can empower you to dominate, then we all gonna dominate.
So you've essentially put everything that you've learned in real estate, from the inspecting side, building side, selling side, construction side, cleaning side,
everything,
into one platform.
One platform.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn at Joshua Powers, and that's with an E. So it's Jeshua Powers. And you can find me on Instagram at Joshua Powers as well. So you can get in contact with me. I have plenty of things. I launched a course that they can have access to. I can coach you, consultants, anything that you need within the realm of real estate. I got you. I'll take care of you. Just reach out.
What's one word that would define the season that you're currently in?
Execution.
What's one sentence that you would share with the world to get them to their next season?
Sometimes if you have to reroute, because life is like a GPS. So think about it. When you get off on a different exit, it's going to take you back to your aim destination. Even if it sets you back an hour or a few minutes, you're still going to get there. Just reroute.
Today, we've talked about sacrifice. We've talked about rerouting. We've talked about understanding the mission at hand. And no matter the challenges, no matter the adversity, no matter the lack thereof of resources, to still go get it, to continue to keep a winning mentality, to continue to be number one, even faced with adversity and challenges, to be the best. We are here with my brother Joshua Powers on the Around broadcast. We'll see you guys next episode.